Grab your cocktail and get ready for this episode of the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast. Welcome to the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian, and I've got some guests tonight that are not only going to educate me, but hopefully educate a lot of our listeners, right? So before I go any further, Brother Cruz, Brother Riggins, could you introduce yourself? Well, first of all, welcome to the podcast. I mean, we were talking offline, and so I've got to do the introduction. Like, looks like I got some sort of couth here. So, welcome to the podcast, gents.
Thank you.
Hey.
So, as we get going, one's from New York, one's from Georgia. I'll let you figure out if you can. If you figure out if you can pick up on the accent. You know, Kansans, we don't have accents. I know that you guys think we do, but we certainly don't, right? So, Brother Cruz, I'm going to let you start off. Will you tell us who Brother Cruz the man is? Let's push masonry to the side and let's surprise some folks. But let's tell us who Brother Cruz the man is.
Thank you for the introductions. Well, Brother Cruz the man, I'm a retired sanitation worker out here in New York City. I worked for 22 and a half years, lifting up garbage and putting it down in garbage in big trucks for that amount of time. I live here in Southeast Queens. I love to travel, especially, I do a lot of RVing and things like that. So I like camping. That's one of my.
It's very New York, it seems like.
Actually, it's not, because
no, I know it's not.
My neighbors that I have an RV, they're like, where did you put it? I have it safely parked in Pennsylvania right now. So
yeah, nice.
But I do a lot of RVing, and Freemasonry is my side gig.
All right. You got to follow that up, Brother Riggins. Follow that up.
Oh, wow. Tough act to follow. I want to start off by saying thank you all so much for inviting me to be on this podcast. The reason being because I watched a lot of your episodes and I'm like, wow, I have a story to tell as well, But me, myself, as a man, my name is Sean Riggins. I've been in Macon, Georgia. The majority of my adult life after high school has really been revolved around military, things of that nature. I got a job offer right out of high school and I moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And after Memphis, well, I traveled, throughout that year or whatever the case may be. I ended up in Atlanta, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, Birmingham, Alabama, and kind of got burned out and decided that I'll go back home. Well, I had a choice, go to Savannah State, go to Albany State, or go to Fort Valley State. And, I played around a lot in school. So I said, you know what, that might not be the route and get in this huge debt of student loans. So I applied for a job to be a firefighter, and lo and behold, it sent me to the United States Navy office and the recruiting office. And I had a choice to be a journalist, a photographer, or a meteorologist or oceanographer. And I said, well, I don't mind. I like art, so I don't mind taking pictures, but I didn't want to take pictures of changes of command. So that threw the photography out the window.
Right.
I like to write. I used to rap, do all that kind of stuff. And
right.
I said, you know what? I like to write, but I don't want to write for somebody else, the material that doesn't excite me.
Right.
So I choose, well, as a kid, I loved scuba diving and that kind of stuff. So I wanted to be a marine biologist, but I ended up being a meteorologist and left Great Lakes, Illinois, ended up in Sasebo, Japan, and did a lot of traveling there doing weather, So that was cool,
Of all the three that you picked, I'm in my mind, I'm like, where did he go? Meteorology was not it.
You don't think so?
No. I think you're going to be great at it. I wouldn't have picked it. I mean, out of my brain.
Gotcha.
I thought it was going to be journalism. I really did. When you're talking, it's journalism. It just fits. I can see it.
But remember, I like to write things that I have an interest in that subject.
Right. Oh, and I've seen your writing, so I had a little bit of a different. That's where I had an insight that I thought it was that too.
Gotcha. Well, after that, came home, and really that transition from the military back to the civilian sector was a little tougher than, some would imagine.
Yeah.
But long story quick, I ended up getting a job working at Robbins Air Force Base, and got married, all that great stuff.
Yeah.
And now I stepped out on faith, and now I work for myself as a real estate investor, and acquisitions manager for some of my clients. I'm actually in the office now, so
I
because
like
you
it.
said a quiet place, so
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
quiet place. you know
Nice.
yeah.
That's a good lead in on both of you. So why don't you both tell me your Masonic tell me your Masonic journey, but before that, tell me your Masonic journey before your Masonic journey. So whoever wants to go, because this is the lead in. So for those who just watched the Sir Alton Moore episode, this is going to all tie together. So who wants to lead? Is it George or New York? Who's taking the floor?
I'll go first.
All right.
Well, first and foremost, like Brother Sean Riggins, I was in the military. I was a medic, and a lot of my co-workers or fellow soldiers in the military were Masons. I didn't know that. They kept it in the military. They keep that for some odd reason, keep it very secret and low key. And I was interested. I used to hear a lot of things coming from these brothers when they used to speak. So I was very curious since then. When I got out of the military, I was very curious about Freemasonry. I used to read a lot online. I used to get books and things like that. And I asked my mom one day, does she know any Masons? She says, yes, I know. I know a Mason. His name is so and so and so and so. As a matter of fact, we're still friends today. So she set up a meeting with him. As a matter of fact, I took him out to eat to impress upon him, that I want to become a Mason and that I'm a good person. And I took the person out to eat, and we sat down and talked. And he introduced himself as one of the recruiters for International. So wow, I was very excited.
And did he look the part? Was it like impressive?
Yes, he looked
How was he dressed? Was he like Men in Black with the thing that
no,
erase your memory?
He was very professional.
Okay.
I can honestly say he was very. I can say most people that are international are very professional people.
Okay.
So he looked very professional. He introduced himself as a very professional and articulate person. So
Okay.
that impressed upon me. So I subsequently joined International, and I rose up through the ranks and became a worship master and part of their Grand Lodge in the state, because they have a different type of structure that we have as far as.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that structure later, so I'm interested.
So anyway, I to make a long story long, I left International and became a Prince Hall Mason in 2013. One of the best days of my life, I can honestly say. Just a couple of months before that, my mother had passed away, so I really wanted her to see that, because my mother was really interested in my fraternal activities, even when I was in International. So I joined Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of State New York. Right now, I'm currently the worshipful master of my lodge, my 5th year, by the way. And this is where I currently reside, at the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge, and I don't regret a day.
I love it.
Wow.
All right, Sean. See, you got to follow him
Oh
again. I keep
man,
doing you dirty. I didn't mean to.
well, no, you're good. For me, same thing as Brother Cruz stated. When you're in the military, regardless what branch, you're surrounded by individuals who are Masons, or whatever the case may be. And I remember playing sports, basketball, whatever. I was in a football league over there, a little small league, for armed forces or whatever. Well, or if we're just somewhere out, just shooting the breeze or whatever, couple guys would be like, we gotta leave. We gotta leave. It's that time or whatever the case may be, because they got a meeting, and honestly, me at that age, I was very immature to anything I didn't understand because I read a lot, as a kid.
Right.
So if I didn't understand it, I got to look into this. So I used to tell them that you guys are gonna go worship goats and you're devil worshipers and blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah. I'm gonna hang out with everyone else and we're gonna play sports or drink or after duty or whatever the case may
Right.
be.
Yep.
So one guy was like, you're calling us devil worshipers and all this, so you need to find out, what we actually do. So, long story quicker, I blew all that off. Returned to the States, and my dad, and brother cruises for me with my pops. My dad had the square, G and compass, the whole nine. And now I'm a little older. And I told myself, I said, you know what? I wonder now what that's about. So
Yeah.
I asked him to introduce me to Freemasonry, essentially. At least at that time, what I thought was Freemasonry. So what happened was I got initiated, passed, and raised. Of course, you know what that comes with, Jorge,
Oh,
on that
do I
side,
know?
you know.
I,
So I went
I
through
think
that.
parts of me, I think parts of me are still in pain.
Yeah, so you already know. But
Woo.
essentially same way I rose up the ranks because it was something so new. And don't want to jump too far ahead, but in that world, you don't have anything to stand on foundationally, as in a history or whatever.
Right.
So the ritual was everything. So learning the ritual was the big thing. And again, I like to learn and read or whatever. So that's what attracted me. And I became W in my lodge, so I was a worship master over there. And then we had elections and I was elected the Grand Junior Warden for Jeff Long Grand Lodge in IFAMM. But the kicker, thank God for the internet. And thank God for brothers on the PHA side and mainstream Grand Lodge Estate that would get on my, every single day. And Brother Cruz can attest to this because actually around the same time he was making a transition, I was making a transition. So it was myself, few other guys, whatever the case may be, that the the light bulb just went off and the wheels start churning because every time I tried to find something negative to say about Prince Hall or mainstream, oh, it's all the same. They stole their charter, blah, blah, blah. They stole it from Egypt. The same old bullshit story you hear,
Right.
you know. And the way I compiled those questions were questions I actually wanted them to answer for me. And they couldn't give me any answers. So the more and more I dug to find negativity about mainstream and Prince Hall, that was the way I started finding more out about what we were actually doing and how we were out of line and out of focus when it came to the real Masonic, regular and recognized world. Fast forward, I left. It was hard to leave, but I said, why in the world would I be a student of Freemasonry if I'm not in a real classroom?
It's
So,
it's like a college diploma mill that you think you're
exactly.
there and you go to get the job and they say this is
And,
bullshit.
and, and you know what has been said? If I was a doctor, right? And I've have studied every book there is about performing heart surgery. If I wanted to perform heart surgery on you, and you guys know I don't have any paperwork, even if I could do it with my eyes closed, does
Right.
that make me a real heart surgeon?
Right.
No.
Right.
So
Doesn't.
therefore, I had to be in a real classroom and become a real Mason. So fast forward, I'm a member of Marshallville Lodge 297, and I serve now as of course, I've been a worship master, of that lodge for 2 years, and now I serve as the assistant district deputy grand master for Butler District number 20. Where Promise T. James is the 19th most worshipable grand master. Under the Prince Hall, Grand Lodge of Georgia, and I'm enjoying my journey, as I go now. And it's just such a blessing to be a part of the real and recognized world of Freemasonry. So that's
So
my story.
here's what we hope. So you guys know we get a lot of emails. We're in the 20s now of people that have, since they've started watching at least this channel, there's probably tons of other that have, we are now providing information, right? And at the end of the day, we hope that if you're part of a bogus, clandestine, irregular, whatever organization, we're not here to bash you. Now, if you're Jarvis, I'm here to bash you. I got you all day. So now, anyone else, listen, we don't care if we're going to give you the information. If you decide to get the information, you want to stay where you're at, more power to you. It's America. You should be able to do what you want. You're cosplaying, whatever, right? Now, the leaders, you guys know you're doing something wrong. Let's push the tax status aside, because some of you guys got some tax status. That's fine. But what you're doing, it may not be legit. So we're going to talk about that part. We're here to provide information, and then let you make your own decision, because it's still America, right? And that's the great thing about the country. But we want to empower you, because some people may be keeping this education from you, and we're going to help you out. Even in the age of internet, I know it seems strange, but we're going to help you out. We're going to give you some nuggets. So what I guess I want to know first, because I'm super naive about a lot of things, because I'm from Kansas, we're just kind of dipshits on some things, right? So walk me through the structure of IFAMM. Is this an International Free and Modern Masons, right? What's the structure look? And a recruiter, that was the first ding, ding, ding. Who does that, right? So walk me through the structure. How's it look? And is it just so, I'm picturing a flow chart in my brain. So educate me.
Well, international structure has many facets. They run their organization like a business. Their business is located, I think I forgot the address, is on Glacier Street in
2101 Gratiot Avenue in Detroit, Michigan.
Right. And they have, like any corporation, you have a what do you call that in the corporation, where you have a
CEO, president.
Yeah, presidents.
Yeah.
So they have a CEO.
And your board of directors and all of that.
Yes, board of directors. Yes, they have. So, and on their board of directors, they have women, mind you. They have women, mind you, on their board of directors. But they have a CEO who's generally not elected. He's generally appointed from year to year. It's not like you can rise up through the ranks. And this is one of the red flags that went off for me, is that, if I wanted to be the Grand Master, is that feasible in international? That's not feasible. They have a CEO. Underneath him, they have a Supreme Grand Master, but he is subordinate to the CEO, remind you. So there's a Supreme Grand Master. Underneath the Supreme Grand Master, they have Eastern jurisdiction, they have Southern jurisdiction, they might have a Western jurisdiction. Underneath that, then you have your state Grand Lodges. Rosa Sharon Grand Lodge was here in New York, and then you have, underneath there your subordinate districts. So I was in I can't remember the district that I was.
Brother Cruz, let me jump in right there. So for folks that are going right off the bat, if you're paying attention, there's no sovereignty.
No.
Right? Am I right so far?
No. Everyone answers to the CEO.
So there is no sovereignty. So right off the bat, that doesn't pass the sniff test in legit masonry.
Exactly.
And that's the problem with what's going on in Russia and the Kazakhstan thing. There's just some nonsense there. So there's this pyramid thing going on, but all of these areas have no sovereignty, which is right off the bat a problem. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure our folks that are listening don't lose that, because that's a real key point from my naive side of it, right?
Right. So hold on 1 second. I looked up the definition of pyramid scheme, as a matter of fact,
Oh.
And it's a business model that recruits members via a promise of payments or services or enrolling others into the scheme rather than supplying investments or sale or products or services. As recruiting multiplies, recruitment becomes quickly impossible and most members are unable to profit. I was a recruiter. They have different departments in international. And one of the departments that they have is the recruitment department. I quickly became a recruiter because I generally grew the lodges that I was in. I was in one lodge before I became the worship master of another lodge. I recruited enough members in order to make another lodge. And as a recruiter, you can recruit male and female members.
I don't want you to say how much if it happened, but
how much
you
money?
got paid.
How much money? Yes. As a matter of fact, I have here one of the.
I gotta put a hood on here. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have here one of the articles: International Masons and Eastern Stars. Nothing else like it. You get $5 for every $3 paid in dues. Your supreme dues goes into a savings for you. Sean Riggins will probably elaborate more as far as that is concerned. Just like money in the bank. After 5 years, you can borrow on it.
It's invested.
Yes, Sean Riggins could probably elaborate a little bit more.
And everything Brother Cruz is saying is totally correct. But we have to remember it, and let's go a little bit back before international. International Free and Accepted Modern Masons, of course, they were incorporated in 1950 or whatever. But you have to understand where this business model came from. This business model came from Modern Free. That's where the connection of the names, the modern portion, comes from. Because Jerry Baxter Baldwin was the guy in 1917 who started Modern Free. Later on, and of course, they had a few breakoffs then. Before the William V. Banks, who started International, came in, it really was a situation where William V. Banks, he was their supreme deputy grandmaster, and he was supposed to start and recruit in the North the members for Modern Free, because Modern Free was mainly a Southern jurisdiction organization at the time. So as he started growing those numbers in the Midwest, and as Cruz mentioned, dealing with the Rolls of Shermans, when all those other Grand Lodges start coming about, then he saw opportunity to seize the organization of Modern Free, and he got caught red-handed, and he was suspended by Jerry Baxter Baldwin. I mean, all this is documentation that we have that we can prove, in black and white. He got suspended. So once he got suspended, he got with some guy, Paul Allen or whatever his name was, and they started in Turner Hartsfield, and they started International and continued with the Ponzi scheme. And especially in the South, it was big for them to go around to churches. See, and just to your point about recruitment, Brother Cruz, what they did, Brian, is they would go to churches and sign pastors up, the first ladies up. And that's how they were mostly getting their members. I can speak specifically for Georgia, but that's how they would get their members. And next thing you know, it just was an explosion because, as Brother Cruz stated, they were paying individuals literally to bring in members. So.
I think I've had a guest on before this, also a pastor. Interesting. Keep going.
Well, you fast forward now, and it's been like 2-3 breakoffs of International, because one thing these guys and girls are not going to stop doing is making that money. They bring people in from the blind, initiate, pass, and raise them under the name of Freemason, under the guise of Freemasonry. And next thing you know, these groups like International just starts popping up, everywhere. It's 3 Jeff Long Grand Lodges in Georgia.
Georgia alone, right?
3, yes, all with the same name, all derived from International. You have Jeff Long Grand Lodge for the International Modern Masons. Then you have the Jeff Long Grand Lodge for the Universal Masonic Brotherhood. And then you have the Jeff Long Grand Lodge for the Reformed Universal Masonic Brotherhood. So these clandestine groups, they make money off of recruiting members and bringing people in. And it's sad to say, people like me and Brother Cruz came in the blind under good intentions to become a legit Freemason, and you end up in these organizations. If you don't know, you don't know.
Well, we talked about this exactly off camera. So let me just tell you from the Kansas kid point of view, when I sought out Masonry, let the old keystrokes work, called the lodge, no problem. Guy came over, ended up being a great mentor of mine. I didn't even think about checking validity. I didn't know that was a thing because I'm like, looking back or even now, I'm like, why would somebody cosplay and fake be a Mason? Oh, it's the money but I'm naive back then. And that's part of this whole series is this. You don't know what you don't know. And I don't blame anybody for what they don't know. Now, I'm a little critical is once you get the information and you decide to do something different or play a victim, because I could have easily fallen prey to that.
Brian,
right? Because I didn't have the resources.
Brian, by that time, like you said, you blame the leadership. Those are the ones by that time, they spent so much money, they've exerted so much energy into that organization, they've built friendships. And what has happened is 9 times out of 10, they're the ones now that their hand is in the pot.
Right.
So they're going to find anybody,
Can I add to that recruiting scam? I have it's not an article, but it actually is an article. I have it in
and we'll have that link as you guys are watching the video. We're going to have that link in the video description for you guys to click on, because we're all about showing receipts too, right? That's to show that we're not trying to BS you.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it says here, big bonus given of $50 plus all the joining fees, which is not less than $100, will be paid to anyone setting up a new lodge of male or female with 25 or more members. This bonus will be paid when the charter is applied and paid for. If you set up only one lodge a month, one lodge a month.
That's crazy. It takes years to set up a legit one.
You will add $1,800 a year to your earnings. This is your opportunity. WMV Banks SGM. And, in all actuality, Brother Bird, we do have a group on Facebook, and this is a shameless plug. It's called Deceptions of International, Free and Accepted Modern.
You're going to put it across the bottom. We're all about sharing it and giving you more information, folks. We're all about information.
A lot of this information, a lot of this information is on that Facebook group, and it's very good. It helped me a lot. I became an admin of it some years ago. So, go look it up. Do your own inquiry.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So when I was talking to Sir Alton Moore, IFAMM, do they charge for 33rd degrees? And what's this? I've seen 33rd, 66.99. I'm seeing all of this crap on shirts. And it's like, I got 99 degrees and a recognized lodge ain't one. I mean, I just feel like that. What is going on?
International they do have the sort of Masonic structure that we have as far as York Rite and Scottish Rite. The Scottish Rite does go up to the 33rd degree. Those other degrees that you're talking about, it's from another organization. They do have the York Rite, but what's missing in the York Rite is the cryptic degrees. They don't give the cryptic degrees. So you have Royal Lodge Masonry, and you have Knights Templar on the York Rite side. Then you have the Scottish Rite all the way up to the 33rd degree for the Scottish Rite side. But it does cost money to get to. It's much more easier to get your 33rd degree at international than it is in mainstream Freemasonry, which is Grand Lodge State
honorary.
So yes, it's all you got to just pay the money.
And the kicker is they call it a crossover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to cross over. You have to have all the York Rite, quote unquote, degrees over there. Then you go get the Scottish Rite degrees over there, which is just simple God, horrible. And then once you obtain those two on the Masonic ladder, that's when you can cross over into the shrine and all that kind of thing, man.
Oh my gosh. If I feel like it's some weird Scientology thing.
You
So
don't,
this is
you don't
so
want to
weird.
join the shrine on that in their organization. Woo
Oh,
wee.
that's a different sort of hot sands, huh?
Oh, different sorts.
Yeah.
Actually, they pulled down a video on YouTube, which they was hazing some of their members out here on 125th Street near the Apollo Theater.
Wearing dresses and everything.
Oh yeah, wearing
Yeah.
right in public.
Yeah.
If I can get a hold of that, I'm inserting in this right now. So I got no problem with that. I'll rip it from somewhere.
Yep.
So here's my
Well,
thing.
it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take
I know
in.
it's a lot.
Well, and let's push masonry to the side, right? We're all proud Masons. Let's just go back to being a human for a second. This is a human being thing to me. We can be, well, listen, we're proud Masons. We don't have to convince anybody on this channel watching us we're proud Masons. But let's go back to being a human, because we're humans first. And I like a good hustle. I can respect the hustle. Right? And let's just be real. This is their hustle. And I can respect a good hustle. But a good hustle doesn't have to be at the expense of somebody's livelihood. You've got folks that are really being taken advantage of. Some feel like they're part of something's legit, but then they get so deep into this financially and emotionally. And here's the deal. I'm sure that when you guys left, part of that decision when you left was, man, these are my boys, right? These are my brothers, right?
The 5 stages of grief is
Right.
real. I went through all of that. You got to realize my dad was over there. My dad originally was a Prince Hall Mason. He was raised under Oklahoma's jurisdiction.
Okay.
But when he came back to the States, it wasn't a regular, irregular, clandestine, bogus, spurious thing to him. It's just he was told, oh, it's all the same. Masons are Masons,
People
So
would
that's
think
how
that. It's right. It's an honest, it's such a bullshit play on people. And so
yeah.
I get all of the emotions that they're going through. And we sit there and it's like, say, hey, I'll bust Clandies up all day. I don't have a problem with that. But here's the human side of it. Listen, if you guys listening, if you're part of an organization you want to stay, I'm not judging you. And you know what? You don't have to give a crap what the kid from Kansas says. But if you really joined an organization because you want to be part of something that makes the world better and shit, be legit, right?
Join the church.
Yeah.
Join these other organizations.
Join the MC.
Right.
My nephew from Columbus. Join to Columbus. Join these other.
If you're going to be part of something, at least make it legit, right? And whatever it may be, whether it's Knights of Columbus, Lions Club, Rotary, all of the other things out there, but these guys, they're hustling you in plain sight. The receipts are in it here. And if you're okay with being hustled, there's something. Listen, you better believe that I know that I get hustled on my damn cable bill every month. I like my cable, and these sons of guns keep racking up my bill, but I know that it is what it is. I can respect that hustle because I got no other options, but you got options. I don't have options in Kansas of all the different cable that other folks do, but across the world, you have other options. Right now, you're getting BS cable, and you think that the channels are the same, but they're not. They're not the same channels. So you have some options to come over and get legit channels that you can turn on your cable anywhere in the world and they'll work. Right? I just kind of went off. I'm sorry on that tangent.
That's okay. Brother Bird, I'm going to tell you something. Brother Sean Riggins mentioned something very profound, the 5 stages of grief. And I can honestly say that I did go through that process when confronting the truth about international free and accepted modern Masons. First, you're in denial concerning the legitimacy around the organization. Then you get angry at those individuals trying to give you the information concerning the illegitimate nature of the organization. And it says here bargaining. I don't know about bargaining or depression. And I did go through some sort of depression because I'm like, how can these guys, steal from me? But the anger for me lasted longer than anything else. And then
because you had emotions involved in it too, though, right? Is that
yes.
probably why?
Well, see, you develop a lot of relationships
Sure.
with good people, and I can honestly say, brothers, I've met some of the most best people in international free and accepted monarchy. I'm not saying that they're better than anyone
No,
else.
we are not implying that at all.
No, I'm just saying that they're good people. Just like anywhere you meet good people anywhere in your church, in any civic organization, or anything else. I met some really good people, and a lot of them, mind you, especially here in New York, because New York got once I jumped ship, like the Titanic, a lot of other people started jumping ship.
Same thing here in Georgia.
Yeah, same. So people say, "Oh, he did it. I can do it." I don't know if it's like that, but I can honestly say that here in New York,
somebody's got to kick the door open so everyone else can escape.
Someone has to test the waters first. So, but I can honestly say though that 5 stages of grief, and that was very profound, Brother Riggins. And I went through it. I used to argue with a lot of brothers, that Brother Sean Riggins had mentioned earlier before. And but I don't argue anymore. I just give you the information.
Right.
Right.
You're a human and you can read. Here it is.
Make sometimes decision. Arguments, when you argue with someone, it can lead to some negative emotions.
And it can go other places too. Sure.
Right. And it has at times. It has gone to other places. I've gotten threats, long ago, not now, but long ago, I've gotten threats from their members. I got threats to them either verbally on my phone, because they did have my phone number back then. I had to change my phone, or by electronically. I'm like, what the heck? What kind of email is this? I used to get threatened because you're messing with people's money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, our former member, that charity event's still out there. If you want to come on into Wichita, I'll match you 10-1. So it's still open. So that's offer still on the table. Whatever you want to bring, I can match up. So sorry, I digress. So because they're still trying to bring the smoke to me too. So I get it.
Oh man, internationally they have some very good people, and they have some thugs too. So you have to be careful of that. So generally these days I just tend to do the educational thing. I give the information. You take it. I'm not going to argue with you because I have high blood pressure and I don't want to raise my high blood pressure.
We're just here to be a resource. And again,
that's all.
I think at the end of the day, we're here to share their experience, right? And whatever you do, we wish you well, right? We wish you a healthy life as humans, right? And as Brother Cruz mentioned, there are a lot of great humans. They're a victim of circumstance, and some of them don't know any difference. Right. Mm-hmm. But once you have the education, still, you're going to make your decision. I don't want to beat that dead horse, but there are some other options. And don't feel like, what if I've spent all this money? Listen, in real estate, that's a sunk cost. You got a sunk cost, and you know what? It's all fake. It's all BS. You can't do anything with it. So it's a sunk cost. You want to keep putting money into a car that's got a blown engine and no tires that you can never go anywhere with? No, reinvest.
And Brother Bird, a lot of individuals, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm one now that I don't try to convince them that they're clandestine or whatever the case anymore. It's just more so behind the scenes. I'll contact individuals and I'll show them the proof. I'm not bragging or whatnot, but I've been responsible for a lot of people leaving these, pseudo Masonic
Right.
organizations,
I love
not
it.
by trying to prove that we are practicing super Freemasonry or
Right.
nothing, but by the benefit of just showing them the documents, going to show them what's in black and white, what has transpired over time. Because I think a lot of people stay in these clandestine organizations because sometimes the wrong people are getting to them. And what I mean by that, contacting them saying, well, I can't talk to you because you're clandy, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you're not the real deal. We're not going to share password signs and symbols.
No,
But
there's
what
no
we
Masonic
can
secret
do
shared.
is
Yeah.
share information when it comes to legitimacy and history. Okay, you say you're from the Indian Ocean Grand Lodge of the world. Fine with me. What three lodges was formed your Grand Lodge? A lot of them have no clue. Oh, well, I'm Scottish Rite. I'm Scottish Rite. What Scottish Rite body are you a part of in the Blue Lodge? If you're Scottish Rite, why were you using the Duncan's ritual? You get
Right.
what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just those simple things that I'll ask them those type of questions. Well, my grandmaster is Mike Johnson, but the grandmaster over him is Zach
John Smith. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. And I said, you do know that a grandmaster is not sovereign if a grandmaster is over him. So I leave him alone. After we just have these conversations, I leave him alone. And what happens? Here comes the phone calls. Here comes the text. Well, what about this? What about that? And I just encourage them to do their own research based upon what I provided, and next thing you know, they're calling me saying that they would love to join a legitimate lodge
Yeah.
after, seeing that the organization they're in, specifically international, because of this episode. And, I'm glad they have a change of heart, but normally those are the ones who have not been in those organizations for the years and years and
Right.
years. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Brother, I was, you had mentioned something about the leadership. And
Mhm.
the more I investigated international and their irregular or bogus ways, the more I started getting. I wasn't angry at the normal individual. I was angry at the leadership because they know.
Right.
Yes.
It's the leadership they know,
Mhm.
especially the CEO. These guys, when they retire, did you ever see how much their CEO gets paid after he
We saw the records.
it's like a
Yeah.
We
business.
Go
saw the
look at it.
record.
You know what?
Yeah.
We'll we'll have it there for you. We're gonna make it easy for you, folks. So
Exactly.
that should be terrifying. There's a reason that I don't donate money to Goodwill. You got to go look and see what that guy makes. It's
What
crazy.
Mhm.
grandmaster gets a severance pay after leaving the seat
Mhm.
as the leader of an organization in Freemasonry? Which one? I don't know any.
That's
And
crazy.
not only that, international, they're not very what's the word for it, where you can see everything
Oh,
in,
transparent.
they're not transparent.
Yeah.
My Grand Lodge, we have Grand Lodge session every single year, and they have their books. They give you, the minutes and the books on the last minutes of the last year, and they'll show you where all the money, where they received all monies coming in, where the Grand Master received certain amounts of money to do certain things for the Grand Lodge, and even for his travels and things like that.
Sure.
Where was the money spent? How much taxes? Things like that. International, no, they don't even have a Grand Lodge per se. I'm
A
talking about
lot don't.
physical
Yes, a lot
Grand
of them
Lodge.
don't.
They
Yeah.
have an office
Mhm.
in Detroit. That's another red flag.
And plus, not to cut you off, Brother Cruz,
Sure.
remember how at one point in time, and this kind of relates back to the structure and dealing with the finances. Remember at one point in time, every lodge that was in their under their organization, they wanted you to have a account with that. They have an actual credit union. So they wanted all the lodges to have an account with the credit union. But when you look up the records, what does the credit union tell you? It's only one member. And that one member was the supreme president, the CEO of the company, International Free and Accepted Modern Masons. And mind you, as we stated earlier in the beginning, we're not here to bash
Nope.
the members of the organization. I've met good men and women over there as well, and they say, well, it's all the same, blah, blah. Well, you know what? We are brothers and sisters, but under the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man, not in a Masonic sense,
Right.
So
Right.
when you see that they want you to put your money in a credit union and the credit union only has one member,
And you guys can look that up, the Michigan Credit Union Association.
well, that's how we found out they only had one member.
Yeah, look it up for yourself, folks. Yeah.
They claim their legitimacy behind being registered with the Secretary of State in each state.
We all know that takes 5 minutes to do. It's no big deal to set up a business, set them up all the time.
Right. Anybody could get an EIN number or anything like that. It's very easy. But
And not even that. Let's go ahead and debunk that right now. This is beyond international. This is just dealing with Freemasonry, period.
Go ahead, brother.
The Secretary of State office does not issue Masonic charters.
Right.
So if anyone wants to say, well, we're legit because we're with the Secretary of State, we have a charter from them, blah, blah, blah. Again, the Secretary of State does not issue Masonic charters. And also on that note, Grand Lodges don't have charters. They issue charters.
Right. Grand Lodge falls under the lineage from other Grand Lodges from where they started.
That is
other
correct.
lodges come from another Grand Lodge to comprise of a new Grand Lodge in that geographical area in which there is no other Grand Lodge in that geographical area, like New York. Prince Hall, it's a different story with Prince Hall.
Exclusive territorial jurisdiction.
Right, exactly. So, international, they've been sued plenty of times by different, especially Prince Hall down in Georgia, one of the Grand Masters down in Georgia.
Past Grand Master John Wesley Dobbs.
Oh, he is a dynamo.
Yeah, he's a pioneer.
He's not a big stature of a man. If you look at his pictures, but his character.
Yes, Amos T. Hall of Oklahoma. These men fought clandestine Freemasonry
in courts.
Yes,
and you can look inside. Deception of International Free and Accept, Deception of International on Facebook, and you can see these articles in which these
court cases
were sued.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Even back to DC with the keys and all the
well, that's why they got the key for Modern Free because that was their way of continuing to practice their version of Freemasonry. So why would you another red flag? Why would your organization have a key under the square G and compass? Riddle me that. Why?
If your logo's got a key, it's a fake degree.
Yeah.
Well, I was given a long time ago. I don't have it on me, the meaning of the key. And then when I found out, Jerry Baxter Baldwin, I found his gravesite, a picture of his gravesite, on his tombstone. The square compass is on there with the key.
With the key, I remember.
And I'm like, wait a minute, he's not international. He's Modern Free. How did international get the key? And then I was explained further on how they took this symbol because of these the legalities of using the square and compass. And so they put a key.
So let's leave some final thought. I'm going to give you brothers to folks that are listening. What are the final thoughts that you want our listeners that may be part of an organization that are questioning or maybe want to ask some question about the validity? What's the final thought you want to leave at before we close out the episode?
Well, my final thought would be, do your due diligence. You would do your due diligence when you're seeking employment, when you're going to the doctor. You do your due diligence if you're appearing in a legal manner or anything like that. So Freemasonry isn't any different. You do your due diligence in religion, politics, anything. The same thing in Freemasonry. Do your due diligence. I'm not here to bash anyone or any organization. I just want you to open your eyes. I'm not saying that one organization is better than the other, but I'm just telling you the legitimacy of the organization. I love being a Prince Hall Mason. The reason being is that the historical value of the organization is there. Right. I know when I pass away, that my legacy will continue on forever and ever. You can look me up at any time.
Forever be in the archives.
Right. I'll be in the archives forever of my Grand Lodge and my lodge. And that's the reason why one of the reasons why which it influenced me to become a Prince Hall Mason, because of the legacy. What type of legacy are you willing to leave for your descendants?
Yep. And for me, the most deceiving thing in the world is a lie that makes absolute sense. And rational thinking will always trump emotional thinking. If someone out there gets a chance to see this podcast and they're a part of a irregular, clandestine, bogus, or spurious Grand Lodge or organization, don't allow your emotions to overtake you from understanding what the facts are. We're not bashing you as a man or as a woman. It's just your organization is not legit in the eyes of Freemasonry, especially if you're here in the United States. If it is not the mainstream Grand Lodge of that state or the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of that state, it is not a legit organization. We didn't make the rules up. But that is the rules if you choose to go on this journey, meaning as a Freemason or even as a member of the Order Eastern Star. Fact check and join a legit Grand Lodge or Grand Chapter.
Brothers, thanks for joining the Old Fashion Masonic Podcast and helping spread the word and educating our fellow humans. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers, brother.